Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, or team up against a guest and battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Please enjoy part 2. Hello, welcome back to part 2 of our Heist films episode. And of course, I always ask you guys on Instagram what your favorite films are from the previous episode. And it feels like a really long time ago now, but we did Chris Nolan films on our last episode. So your favorites are from the Why the Flick podcast. Claire said Interstellar with an exclamation mark. Betty Busters said Insomnia. One of Us is Bored. Sam said Inception, but mostly because of Hans Zimmer killed it with that one. Anton Kinelov, The Dark Knight. The movie boners went with, that is such a hard question. His Batman movies are iconic, but I probably love The Prestige. The TLV cast went with Memento. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so some great choices there. Have you got a favorite, Vincent?
My personal favorite is Inception. I saw that when it came out. I was caught up in the hype. Hans Zimmer's score just like shook the theater. Yeah. But I will say I revisited Batman Begins recently. Right. And because I hadn't seen that since it came out. And I was, I appreciated that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
A lot. I was like, this is, a lot of good stuff going on.
A lot of people think that's better than The Dark Knight as well, you know. So, you know, big hardcore Batman fans can be divided on those films. So, my choice then for heist films is Heat. I couldn't really see past this one. I mean, I was thinking of things like The Killing, Stanley Kubrick's film, or Rafifi, Ronin, Ocean's 11. I've seen the original Ocean's 11 as well. That's pretty good. But the Soderbergh one is definitely fantastic. But yeah, I kept coming back to Heat, and I'm like, I haven't seen this in a while. I really want to revisit this one for my podcast. So yeah, I went with Heat. So what happens in Heat? Well, going to IMDb, a group of high-end professional thieves start to feel the heat from the LAPD when they unknowingly leave a clue at their last heist. There's just a great story between De Niro's character and Al Pacino's character trying to outwit each other, and De Niro's got to deal with like rats from his previous job, and Al Pacino's got to deal with a lot of family issues. So yeah, it's a great crime epic, I would say, as well as a great heist movie. And with one of the best action scenes you'll see, I think. Fantastic.
My God. Yeah.
Initial reactions, Vincent?
This was the first time I'd seen it when you suggested it. It'd been on my watch list for so long.
See, this is what podcasts are for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I love the movie. 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's a long one, but it never feels long.
No. Not like Army of the Dead.
Exactly. Army of the Dead is almost as long. And my God, you feel every minute of that movie. But Heat is done, it's so precise. Michael Mann directed and wrote the screenplay. Every moment in this movie is intentional and is very specific. And I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, my initial reactions, I just really loved it and just got sucked in to these characters. They're just so compelling to watch, and just seeing how these, you know, the events of the story play out. There's some really great unpredictability going on here of how these characters outwit each other, and some damn good action as well. And obviously the quality of acting is exceptional as well. Just seeing Al Pacino and De Niro, two of America's great legends in acting, is a sight to see for sure. Obviously, they tried to do it again, emulate that in Righteous Kill, and failed miserably. But, but yeah, there's not a lot of films like this one, I wouldn't say, in this genre. So directing, then, I love the opening heist scene where De Niro, as simply as you like, steals an ambulance. Like, the heist is really slick. The communication between the characters is really clear and calm. Like, the ambulance stops the money truck and a massive truck crashes into the money truck in spectacular fashion. And I liked how the explosion that opens the door smashes all the car windows near it.
Yeah,
that was cool. Yeah. But then it's like a simple task of finding the right bearer bonds to steal while the others have guns on the cops. Then a really interesting thing happens where one of the new guys, Waingro, thinks one of the cops is going to try something, so he clocks him on the head. Then one of them says, "Hey, Slick, see that shit coming out of his ears? They can't fucking hear you." Then you get these really objective, like, straight profile shots on the cop and then on Waingro, almost looking right down the lens. And then you see the gang get the bearer bonds for a beat, and then we see Waingro, like, shoot the cop. Then they end up, shooting the rest of the cops. So it was a really interesting way of creating some uneasy tension by breaking the rhythm of the heist with these really close, objective shots, almost breaking the fourth wall. I found that really kind of unsettling. I was just like, oh, okay, this almost doesn't feel right in a film like this, but it really worked effectively.
Yeah, Michael Mann does that, a similar shot when De Niro and Val Kilmer's character are going into some warehouse, and parked outside in a truck is Pacino and his gang, and they're waiting to make the bust on De Niro and Kilmer. But of course it doesn't go right, and there's a one of those cuts where Pacino and De Niro are seemingly looking at each other, but like you say, right through the camera almost.
Yeah.
It's very unsettling, and it's all in that way to increase the tension. And this movie is just full of tension. It is just a master class in how do you build tension over like 2 hours and 50 minutes. Whew, doesn't give you a chance to breathe.
Yeah, it's a great masterclass in that sense. I did enjoy, like, the fake money drop scene at the drive-in where De Niro is in a car and we watch this white pickup truck pull beside him, and De Niro seems to be in control of the situation. Then we see a guy come out of the back of the truck and with a gun and about to shoot De Niro. And throughout, like, De Niro is kind of losing his grip and control of what's going on around him in this film, I would say. So you're in a bit of doubt whether he can actually get out of this. Then you hear, Val Kilmer say in his ear that someone's behind him. Then you see Kilmer firing. Then suddenly Tom Sizemore appears to take out the driver. So it's kind of shows that Mann sets up the sense of doubt about De Niro's capabilities, but in these surprise appearances from Sizemore and Kilmer, that De Niro is prepared for anything when serious business is being had. So it's kind of interesting up until that point that, you've got the whole thing with Waingro, like, he lets him slip through his fingers when he is going to take him out. So you do get a little sense that he's not 100% in control of everything. But then this scene was like, no, when serious stuff is happening, he can handle it.
Yeah.
I kind of loved the last few scenes of the film where De Niro decides to take revenge on Waingro in the hotel. As usual, De Niro is really slick about kicking the door down and making him look at him before he shoots him. He's even caught at gunpoint behind him in the corridor, and De Niro deals with him easily.
Yeah.
But I loved all, like, the cutaways to Edie, his girlfriend, in the car waiting for him, and she's seeing all these people coming out of the hotel because of the fire alarm, and you're not sure whether she is going to wait for him or get out of the car. I kind of really loved how that rhythm was set up. Yeah, I love the callback to the start of the gunfight scene when Val Kilmer gets out of the bank and is just about to get in the car but sees the cops. Like, the same happens here with De Niro. Like, he sees Al Pacino running at him when he's right by the car, and De Niro sticks to his mantra. You know, if you feel the heat, you need to be prepared to walk away in 30 seconds flat, which is exactly what he does.
Yeah, that's a tough moment as an audience because look, Edie and De Niro's character, what's his name, Neil, I think. Yeah. You grow to like them as a couple. They have their problems, obviously. But in that moment when he makes the decision, they're looking at each other, and Neil he's walking away, but every step is killing him to do this, to leave. You're like, oh man, tough life.
Yeah, because he's mentioned this mantra to like several people already. Mm-hmm. You know, he can't possibly like go against that now.
But you think he might. You're like, will he do it?
Yeah. There is a lot of hesitation there. But I guess the mantra gives you plenty of hesitation time, 30 seconds. So, But then there's this like brilliant like cat and mouse scene on the airfield to end the film where Michael Mann does like a great job keeping the tension up. He does these brilliant like lingering shots from where a character is hiding from and moves the camera to an empty space. Like, and also I loved how slowly geography is established between the two characters to ramp up the tension. Mm-hmm. And the way the light and shadow reveals De Niro to Al Pacino is really clever for me. So yeah, it's a great end to this film.
Yeah, and then just like literally how the movie ends, just this still image of Pacino over De Niro, and it's over. Then you go to credits. You're just like, oh man. Just leaves you hanging. Like, what's going to happen next? Yeah, I mean, what I mentioned already, when Pacino and De Niro are seemingly looking at each other through the truck. But I also, just in general, back to the specificity, like when you mentioned Neil, De Niro's character, steals the ambulance so easily.
Yeah. The
way it's directed is you can believe that this is possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, oh, you could just walk into a hospital, find a uniform, put it on, and then you can do whatever you want.
You can feel that Michael Mann has really done his research here and really thought about, this is how easy it can be for people to literally steal an ambulance. And also, like, at the end in the hotel, like, he's on the phone to the receptionist or whatever, saying that they messed up an order for
the room service.
Yeah. And what's the number, please?
Yeah.
It's like, you could easily do that. And he finds the room number really easily.
I don't think it's that easy in real life, but this movie makes you feel like you can do it. And it's
maybe in the 90s, maybe. It is an old movie now, so
that's true. Nobody has cell phones, or do they? Oh, you know what I love? The moment when De Niro and his crew are catching on that they're being followed by the police, and they have this meeting at the shipyard, and they leave, and the Pacino and his colleagues show up, and they realize they are now being watched by De Niro. And it's like a total swap, and Pacino's just like, oh, he's good. This one's good.
Yeah, I do love that.
He's real good.
I think my favorite scene is, obviously I've probably alluded to this already, but is the heist in the bank, and the shootout that follows is amazing. The heist itself is fairly slick and with very little build up or suspense, and it's pretty easy again for them to steal the money. Michael Mann is very much showing us that being a criminal is kind of easy if you do your homework. But the shootout that follows is so intense with the sound of the machine gun fire. It's insane. Like, Michael Mann famously didn't like the dubbed sound effects of the gunfire in post, so he used the on-set sound recordings of the guns. And I'm like, why don't more films do this in gun battles? Because it works so well here. It's edited pretty fast, and sometimes you lose who's shooting who, but I didn't really care because the scene was so intense anyway. Just seeing the cop cars get shredded was awesome. Mann doesn't let De Niro or Val Kilmer have all the fun. Al Pacino finishes the scene off really nicely with some really great subtle slow-mo on him when he's aiming the gun on Tom Sizemore and puts a bullet square on his forehead. You know, it's super slick with a bit of flair to end the scene. You know, by far the best action scene in the movie.
Yeah, action's done really well. There's that great scene when Val Kilmer, after being shot up in that bank job, he shows up to his apartment with his wife, but she's there as bait because there's a detective there ready to capture Kilmer. But in her own way, Charlize Theron, she gives Kilmer a little heads up that you should leave now because this place is crawling with cops. Oh, and it's just the way that they communicate with each other, the actors with their eyes, and yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I do love that moment. You know, it's more of an emotional moment for Kilmer, and you can definitely feel the vulnerability with him. You can definitely tell he's very injured from the gunfight, and just the way he gets out of the car. And I think Ashley Judd is really great in that moment as well, where she's kind of trying to hold back her emotions because obviously she hasn't seen him in a while. But yeah, I think she's great in that. You know, and the way like Val Kilmer's smile could just fade in very much a devastating way.
Yeah.
It's a great moment for him. Have you got a favorite scene or shot, Vincent?
Just the classic scene when De Niro sits down with Pacino at the coffee table.
Right.
And they're just talking to each other, almost like regular guys, and they're able to relate to each other. But the actors are so good, you could still feel the tension between them. Like, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, but I'm not going to actually tell you about myself because, you know, it's just like they're playing mind games with each other while actually just being a couple of dudes.
Yeah, I do actually kind of like the build up to that as well from Michael Mann, where Al Pacino is trying to find him and he's in communication with the helicopter pilot and, you know, am I close now? And they pull over and De Niro gets his gun ready. And when Pacino gets out, like it's a very long over the shoulder shot as he walks to the car, really stringing it out like, ooh, okay, what's going to happen here?
Yep.
And then he's like, do you want a coffee?
Yeah. De Niro's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but yeah, the scene that follows. I mean, I've got some notes on that on acting, but yeah, it's a great scene. Even just the way it's shot, it's just very simple and really just letting the actors do their thing. And I think Michael Mann is a really great director here because the cast is really stacked, a really amazing cast, and sometimes, you know, the best directors are like, yeah, I've got amazing actors here. I don't need to do much to improve this film with the camera. Just sit it down and let them do the work for me. And that's very much the case in that classic cafe scene.
Yeah.
Directing score, Vincent, what are you going for?
I'm going to go with a 9.5.
Ooh, high.
Not a perfect 10, because this is really interesting about this movie. And I'll come back to this with the script as well. But the directing is so specific that I feel like it's almost to a fault, where it's like, do we need to spend time on this very small element? I'll talk about this more with the screenplay, with characters and their backstories. But, you know, ultimately, I mean, like you said, a director who knows what he's doing, just sit back, let the actors do their thing, stage some great action set pieces, and the tension is very effective.
Hey, I'm James Lovino, and I'm here to tell you about Alternate Sides, a movie podcast with a twist. I've worked in the film business for 2 decades, but I haven't actually seen that many movies, and this has been driving my frequent collaborator, Sam, a self-confessed film snob, crazy. So every week, while he's stuck in his car trying to avoid getting a parking ticket, thanks to New York City's alternate side parking regulations, we discuss a classic film I've finally just gotten around to seeing. Alternate Sides, a new podcast about movies, parking, and a 25-year friendship, wherever you get your podcasts. Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like there should have been a bit more spontaneity to the direction here, or is that not what you're getting at? Is it more, does it feel too rehearsed in the action?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe that's, subjective, just a matter of taste, but I loved how meticulous things were. Like I did enjoy seeing De Niro go step by step. How am I going to do this? Because then you feel like if one thing goes wrong, this all falls apart. And it shows you how difficult it is to pull off these jobs.
Yeah, I don't think I was go as high as that, but yeah, I'm very much in the same mindset as you, that this is really precise and really great in the way everything is staged. There's only one scene where I was questioning, was this really plausible, with the fact that when they decide to take out Waingro and they take him out of the cafe to the car park, and Tom Sizemore's like, no, wait, hold it. The cops are going by, and Waingro's on the ground, and De Niro is looking around at the cops, and then when he looks back down on the ground again, Waingro is gone.
Yeah.
And they lose him completely. That was the only scene where I was questioning the direction of, like, how has Waingro got away so easily here
Right.
when he's literally right at his feet.
There are a couple moments like that, like when De Niro catches Ashley Judd at the motel with, I think it's Hank Azaria.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments where it's like, okay, the chances of De Niro being at that payphone while she is at that motel, that's clearly just there because it needs to be there, so we can get that discovery. But I don't know. I guess I'm more forgiving on those things because everything else is so intentional. Yeah.
So I'll go like a 9.3 for me.
Okay, that's close.
Yeah, close. Right, screenplay then. I think the first hour and 20 minutes or so is very much like how a crime drama would play out. The cops following what leads they have, and the criminals planning and executing their next heist. But when De Niro hears like a noise from a van that the cops are hiding in, when Val Kilmer is drilling into a safe, De Niro walks away from the job. And again, you have these brilliant objective shots that we've talked about on De Niro and Pacino. So at this point, like, De Niro knows that the cops are on him. They weigh up the risks and they decide to carry on with the bank job. So right there, you've got like, okay, things are unraveling here. They're not as slick as they once were. There's some doubt in whether they can actually do this. But what sets this film apart, you mentioned this scene already, but is that De Niro sets up this fake planning scene with his crew at this shipping yard. They drive away and the cops go down there where they were and try and work out what the job is going to be. But Pacino figures it out that they've been played, and De Niro is in fact watching them. So now you have a situation where both of these characters are trying to outplay each other, and it's not as simple as the cops trying to track the criminals down anymore. Now all of a sudden anything could happen in this film. They're both kind of researching each other, and it becomes really unpredictable. You're like, okay, what's going to happen in this film? And what I find really interesting as well in this film, certainly watching it for the first time, you're not really sure who you're rooting for necessarily, because De Niro is kind of because Pacino, yes, he's the detective, and we always usually follow the detective, but like, he is quite a shitty person. Like, his marriage is terrible. He's neglecting his stepdaughter. He's really entertaining to watch, but De Niro is a criminal, yet he's a kind of a nice criminal. You kind of like him, he's trying to set up one last job to get out of the game. He's starting a relationship with a girl, Edie. He's planning to get out of this world for good. So Mann does an incredible job of like making you choose, frankly, of like who you want to root for.
Yeah. There's moments when De Niro is robbing the bank, and when everyone's on the floor, he shouts, we're not here for your money, right? We're here for the bonds, I think. So yeah, there's like a Robin Hood quality to that. They're like, oh, he's not a bad criminal. He's not taking my money.
Yeah. All your money is insured by the federal
right.
government, he says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get that sense as well, that you weren't entirely sure that Michael Mann is making you root for either Pacino or De Niro?
Yes, absolutely. There's no clear cut. If there's a good and a bad guy, it's only by title. Like, oh, you're the detective, you must be a good guy. But like, both are flawed individuals. Both have relationship dramas going on. Both have reasons to root for them and to root against them.
Yeah, I mean, the film really shows you the consequences of being involved in the criminal world. Like, De Niro's whole team pretty much get killed. You know, he's very close to losing his girlfriend when it's revealed who he is because of, you know, that bank heist was all over the news. But Al Pacino has to deal with similar sacrifices as well. Like, one of his oldest partners gets killed in this big gunfight. You know, his marriage is falling apart. But with Natalie Portman's character, Al Pacino's stepdaughter in the film attempts suicide. And it's a huge shock because we really don't have many scenes with that character. And I feel it is kind of realistic as well, because people in those situations keep things to themselves and don't want to talk about things. You know, they're staying in a hotel, her mother is having an affair. So it makes some kind of sense that Al Pacino is obsessed with catching De Niro, that he neglects his daughter. So it feels shocking, but it's not because there's no character development. It doesn't feel wrong, you know, the emotions don't feel cheated. Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a really brave thing to do in that scene in particular.
With the screenplay, so much time, this is you talking about Natalie Portman made me think about this. Even every character is given their due attention. Their motivations are all clear. Their conflicts are all clear. Their relationships, perfect. Even the minor characters, like, for example, the character of Edie, yep. And who stood out to me, the character of Donald Breeden. He's the African-American out on parole, and he gets a job
Yeah, Grill man.
It's like, this part could have been a nothing part, but we get a whole backstory. We see his girlfriend's involved. I'm like, so when he dies, even that has emotional weight to it.
Yeah. And you have that great moment where I think is it his mother? That's at the bar and she sees him on the news, and it's just like, oh, it's pretty devastating in that moment. The fact that, you know, he's got a pretty shitty life, being frankly abused by his boss at this restaurant, and he's like, fuck it, I'm going to go on this job, and then literally minutes later he's dead.
Right.
I think, man, going along with this whole idea is that you're not really sure who you're rooting for, but I think part of that is because, like, man is showing that this criminal world on both sides is really tough to deal with, whether you're the detective or the criminal. Like, this life is really shitty. Yes, the rewards might be great, but catching the bad guy or getting the score, but like, you got to be prepared for sacrifices, and man really brings that across, even with the minor characters as well.
Even Waingro, the scene with the prostitute that he ends up murdering, then you learn from the detectives that other prostitutes have been killed in this way. So I think they call it, they don't call him a serial killer, but they say this is now like a serial situation. Man didn't have to include that context for Waingro, but by doing so, we get a sense that he's a different kind of criminal. Like, he is a psychopath. And that causes a great contrast with De Niro, who's not a psychopath.
It kind of makes you root for him more, and makes you kind of really root for him when he does go after him in the hotel. Like, yeah, kill that dude.
Yeah, because now Waingro is like the threat of the movie. He can go either way. He's a wild card. He can destroy De Niro. He can destroy Pacino and the whole like police infrastructure. Interesting character.
Yeah, and after the botched heist at the bank, De Niro and co are on the back foot really. Most of his men are killed. Then the film becomes about tying up loose ends. De Niro killing all the rats and Al Pacino trying to follow what leads he has left to find De Niro. Then the film becomes very simple. Will De Niro get out of town alive, or will Al Pacino catch him? But what's interesting is that De Niro and his girlfriend Edie are leaving home free. He has a chance to get out easily, but no, it's De Niro's ego that he can't escape from. He can't take that a traitor slipped through his grasp. It's this power struggle that you can't escape from. And Al Pacino is going through a similar thing, that his pursuit of De Niro is literally tearing his family apart. His stepdaughter attempted suicide. His marriage is going down the toilet. In the end, De Niro is going to leave the country and is getting out of the game for good. So is it worth it going after De Niro for the sake of your family? Probably not, but he can't help himself as well, just like De Niro. So it's just, again, this sense that the criminal world, this criminal game fucks you up.
Yeah.
And it makes you obsessed.
Agreed.
Favorite lines? There's definitely a lot more here than Army of the Dead.
Yeah. The first line that came to my mind, in the moment where I went, ooh, Heartbreak City, is between the two main black characters in the movie, Donald Breeden and his partner Lillian. And they're having this really intimate conversation. He's having a hard time at his job, and she knows him. She's like, look, you got to stick it out. So the two, I'll read the lines. So Donald says, "Ain't a hard time been invented that I cannot handle." And he asks her, "What are you hanging with me for, Lily?" And I thought Lily was going to say, "Because I love you." But she says, "Because I'm proud of you." And as a writer myself, I was like, oh, that catches you off guard, because you expect the love, everyone loves each other. But when someone says they're proud of you, for me, that hits me differently. That makes me feel like a bigger man. That makes me feel more special in a way.
Yeah. Again, it's with very minor characters that man can really, and the writers can really punch up this script for the smaller characters and make them really feel memorable. You could easily oh no, let's save that great material for our main characters, between Pacino and his stepdaughter. But no, that's saved for minor characters that make his death feel impactful.
Yep.
Well, of course, being me, I go for the funny ones. So
of course.
Near the start, Al Pacino says, "Run slick as an alias to the FBI. You're gonna get the phone book. Do it anyway." He says, "Give me all you got. Give me all you got." That's a great one.
She's got a great ass. Which is I've known that line my whole life. I didn't know it was from this movie, actually. Right. That was really funny.
Yeah. Oh, in the nightclub, one of the informers says, "I'm a good citizen. I'm Donald Duck." It's a good one. You get killed walking your doggy. And then following on from you got a great ass.
Yeah.
Is when I think of asses, a woman's ass, something comes out of me. I really don't want to know what that is, frankly, but it was funny.
Yep. Sorry, speaking of Pacino, I don't know if you have this on here, but I got to get a funny one in. It's when his character comes in, he's caught his wife cheating on him. And this schmuck who she's just slept with, he's sitting in the chair in Pacino's house. Oh, his wife's like, "Why aren't you angry?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm angry. I'm very angry, Ralph. You can ball my wife if she wants you to. You can lounge around here on her sofa in her ex-husband's dead tech postmodernistic bullshit house if you want to. But you do not get to watch my fucking television set." It's just the TV is the last straw.
Yeah. I love that moment when he's going after De Niro, but at the lights, he kicks the TV set out the door. That was funny.
Yeah.
And the people on the street are like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And also in that scene where he says, when he's talking to his wife, Yeah, I made Ralph fuck you because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's a
That
good
funny.
dramatic scene too. I mean, it's very funny, but it's tough.
Yeah. Another great one from Pacino where he's like, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to sleep for a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who wouldn't?
But my favorite, I think, yeah, exactly. I think my favorite is from actually Robert De Niro when he's on the phone to the money launderer that screwed him at the drive-in drop. And he says, what am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone. I don't understand because there's a dead man on the end of this fucking line.
I love that the money launderer doesn't understand. It's like I almost expected De Niro to say, no, okay, let me spell it out for you. I will kill you. I am going to kill you. Like,
yeah.
It's good.
Screenplay score then, Vincent, what are you going for?
I'll give it a 9.
Solid 9?
Yeah, because I feel like it's a brilliant screenplay. But like we talked about, I think there's some little things that, like Michael Mann was like, I could probably get away with cheating here. Like with when that's a tongue twister. When Waingro gets away, for example, you're just like, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
I think for me, this script is really great. We've mentioned this is nearly 3 hours long and you don't feel the length at all, and I think I'm always an advocate of saying that a film and a story just needs to be as long as it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like I'm like, nah, you don't need that scene. Like with this film, I feel like you need every scene for this film to really excel. I never felt that, oh yeah, that should be cut. Why is this here? I never had that sense at all. Even with like the quieter scenes, there's a great like little scene near the beginning after the heist where when Neil goes back to his apartment and it's all kind of this blue hour cinematography looking out to the sea. Other filmmakers could easily cut that out, but like one, it looks great, but you just kind of get into Neil's head a little bit, that just this sense that he's coming to the end of his criminal career kind of thing, and that's all done without any words. I kind of like that little moment as well. So yeah, this is an exceptional script. All the characters are really served incredibly well. It's got a really satisfying ending. You got classic cat and mouse stuff at the end to really close off this film. So yeah, it's great. So I'll probably go like a 9.2 for me. Acting then.
I mean, this movie is an actor's movie.
Absolutely, yeah.
They've got great material to work with. I am going to focus on De Niro and Pacino. I mean, Val Kilmer is great as well, and the supporting women, but this is Pacino and De Niro's movie. This is why everyone knows this movie. It's why you go see the movie, and they deliver.
Absolutely,
in a lot of ways.
I would love to talk about the cafe scene again, where De Niro and Pacino meet for the first time. They both talk about their like philosophy on life and how they go about their jobs and about the reoccurring dreams they have that haunt them. It's like their last confession before their inevitable showdown, but it's kind of like a sign of respect to each other as well. What I like about it is that they're both quite restrained and they're keeping their cool, trying not to give anything away. Al Pacino and to a certain extent Robert De Niro can be quite fiery in this film, so you can see them actively trying to keep their cool. I love it in that scene.
My favorite scene, acting wise, is when Neil, played by Robert De Niro, and Edie, who is played by Amy Brenneman, they're in the car and they're headed to the airport, home free, as Neil says. But he gets word from Jon Voight's character where he can find Waingro.
Yeah.
And Edie says, something wrong? De Niro says, nope, we're home free. But it's like a minute of us watching De Niro thinking about how he's going to kill Waingro. and you just watch De Niro's performance. It's all in the eyes. You could see him thinking it through, and you know he's going to change his mind. And sure enough, he turns the car around, and that's it. I'm like, man, that kind of acting is just, it's so much easier said than done when you can communicate so much with so little.
And very much De Niro is more of the subtle performance here compared to Pacino. What I kind of like about Pacino is that he very much has a very fiery side to him. There's that scene when he goes to his informant in the garage, and he's just like, "Don't waste my time," and all that stuff. And you can see him get really fucking angry, and it's kind of really not scary, but it's entertaining. But then you get the scene after the botched takedown of where De Niro and Kilmer are at this kind of warehouse place, and Kilmer is drilling into this safe, and De Niro hears the noise, and after they walk away, you're like, oh shit. Al Pacino is going to go to town on this guy that made the noise. But again, you get this great sense that he's really trying to like hold back and stay calm, because maybe 9 times out of 10, like, he is going to just go nuts on this guy that ruined the operation. But there's just this one time that we see in the film that it's like, okay, let's move on. You could definitely get that sense from his performance. And then with Robert De Niro, he kind of has a similar situation with the fact that he has to deal with Waingro in the cafe, and there's these great moments with Tom Sizemore where he looks over his shoulder at someone looking at them, and he's just like, "Don't do anything, dude." It's a great moment from Sizemore. But like De Niro, he doesn't have like a massive fiery side compared to Al Pacino, but it's just more of a quiet menace. Like, he's really hardcore when he does the heists. We're saying that he's kind of the nice criminal, but he's saying that we don't want to hurt you, but he does clock someone in the stomach in that heist. But there's definitely a simmering rage that he kind of is able to keep under control, especially when he's dealing with Waingro in the car park. He's really able to channel it, whereas Pacino has a similar rage, but it comes in bursts. Like, he's not able to control it like Robert De Niro can. Yeah.
And I know those two actors probably did all their own homework and deciding how they want to play their characters. Differences like that in, say, how you display your rage. I'll also give credit to the director to say, okay, guys, you both have this rage, but you need to decide how differently you're going to express it. And you can see that. Unlike Army of the Dead, where everyone's the same. Everyone is very different. Even if they are kind of the same, there's different mechanisms going on.
Yeah, I think Val Kilmer is pretty good in this as well. Like, there's a little moment when he's leaving the bank and he's got a smile on his face, and he's just about to get in the car and he sees the cops coming when a vehicle moves on. Then he automatically goes into this action mode, firing at the cops without a second's thought. A great start to that scene. And again, you have, as we spoke about, when Chris, Val Kilmer's character, comes back to Ashley Judd's apartment, and he has a smile on his face again, but it's turned into a more devastating expression from that smile.
Yeah.
So again, it's just a great storytelling in terms of how Val Kilmer portrays this character as well.
Yeah, he's great.
Who's your favorite performance then, Vincent? Who are you going for?
I got to say De Niro. I think this is the best thing I've seen him in. I'm not like somebody who's actually watched a ton of Robert De Niro movies. When I was growing up, my prime movie watching age, it was like Meet the Parents and Plus. So De Niro kind of became a bit of a caricature of himself. But a movie like Heat reminds me, like, holy shit, this guy is good.
Yeah.
So now, like, I got to revisit Taxi Driver now, Raging Bull. I want to go back and see, like,
Ronin is good.
Ronin? Okay. Yeah. I'll check that out too.
Another heist film I considered. I think I'm going to go with Al Pacino. Because I think I love all the subtle stuff from Robert De Niro and how he's been able to channel his kind of anger and rage. But I feel like Pacino's performance is just more entertaining. He has pretty much all the best lines, and you don't know what you're going to get from Pacino from scene to scene. And I just love that unpredictability that he brings. Whereas with De Niro, you do have that sense that there is some unpredictability there, but it's less so with his character. It's more controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas Pacino can blow up on anyone.
Yeah.
And I just find that tension really great to watch. And yet he has some really they both have really tender moments with their respective women. And Al Pacino is kind of great in the hotel with his wife, after what happened to Natalie Portman. I think he's got some great tenderness there as well. So both actors have some really great, well-rounded performances here. So acting score, Vincent, what are you going for?
I'll give it a straight 10.
Wow, 10. No messing about.
No, I think even the minor characters, again, everyone knocks it out of the park. I mean, everyone is so clear and specific and precise with their performances. And it all tells the story. It all moves the story forward and deepens your investment in what's going on.
Yeah, there is no weak link here. Like, as we've said, with the minor characters, their performances are so good and so convincing and so natural that you're never left thinking, why are they here? Other than to serve the story, you kind of left wanting more. You want to know more about these characters when you meet them, especially Edie. For me, I think she's a really fascinating character. And even with her struggle, I love that scene in the car and just the cutaways to her in the car of just like building this tension of like, is she going to get out of the car? Or is he going to stay? Is she going to stay and wait? I love those little scenes that really work for me, and that's all from her performance. As listeners know, we're pretty scared of 10s on this podcast. We let the guests do the 10s.
Oh, sorry, 9.9.
So, but it is exceptional, isn't it? So I might go like a 9.7.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's just that scene with De Niro letting Wayne Grow slip through his fingers is.
I mean, there are other little criticisms I could nitpick. Like, I actually don't know, and this is maybe screenplay, and just go back a little bit. Like, I don't know. I don't completely 100% believe why Edie stays with Neil.
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, if she leaves, I mean, he could kill her. But, like, I don't know. I don't know why she stays exactly. And I don't exactly know the plan of how those two are going to get out of this country. I missed the link with, like, okay, there's an airplane. Is it that easy to get through security? I don't know how they're going to do this.
Yeah.
That's a different movie.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So this film is certainly an exceptional piece of work.
Yeah.
Right, let's add up them scores.
All right.
Yep, I can confirm Heat has won. Unsurprisingly, with 56.7 out of 60. That is, I'm pretty sure that's our highest score that we've given a film for this year. And I'm pretty sure Army of the Dead is the lowest score we have given.
Well, it was an honor to be a part of such milestones.
Yeah, let me have a look. No, it's actually tied with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
So
completely different movies.
Yeah.
Very different. Apples and oranges.
But Army of the Dead is at the bottom by quite a long way.
What's the second lowest?
Bram Stoker's Dracula with 42.3.
Really? All right. I love that movie, but it's fair. I could see. I'll have to listen to your episode on it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we can't get past Keanu Reeves' English accent, I'm afraid.
Okay. Yeah. To be fair, that's a hard flaw to look past. Keanu Reeves. Yes. Yeah.
Next episode, people, as Poor Things was supposed to come out, but unfortunately, again, because of what's happening in Hollywood with the strikes, that's been delayed till December. But there is a trailer, so we can see what we think about that one. So we'll be talking weird films. So one of our wacky subjects there. And hopefully we'll be joined by the B Critics podcast. Vincent, you have been magnificent on the podcast. It's been great having you on. It's your opportunity again to tell us about your podcast and where can we find you?
Thanks. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Talk about a bad monster movie, Army of the Dead, but also to just talk about a great movie, with a crime movie, which is one of my favorite genres. Be that as it may, I host a podcast about monster movies called Camp Kaiju Monster Movie Reviews. You can find us wherever you podcast. You could check out our website, campkaijumoviereviews.com. Links to past episodes there. And follow us on Instagram at camp_kaiju. There also you'll find links to everything else. Yeah, that we got going on, weekly episodes, all sorts of monster movies, the good, the bad, and the campy.
Nice. All right, guys, it's time to say goodbye. It's goodbye from Vincent. Bye-bye, sir.
Goodbye, sir.
Yes, and it's goodbye from me. I'm going to watch Heat again and never watch Army of the Dead again. Bye-bye.
I agree with that.
Bye-bye. That's it for part 2. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. Check out part 1 if you haven't done so already. But don't stop there. Get involved and tell us what your favourite films are relating to the episodes. Send us a DM or comment on Instagram and TikTok at Film vs. Film Podcast, for Twitter at FVF_podcast. If you do, we'll give you a shout out on the next episode. If you're feeling really generous, you can buy us a one-off coffee at our Buy Me a Coffee account. Remember, please leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Pod signing off.